Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's budget executive meeting. Item 1 is attendances. I'm not aware of any apologies. So moving on with item 2, which is questions from members of the public. And I can confirm that one question has been received, which will be answered by Councillor Ross. But just to read the question out for fullness. The question is in relation to agenda item 4A, revenue budget proposals. Where is the investment for the transition to a zero carbon economy? The sooner we invest into CO2 reductions, the sooner the council will achieve its strategic priority of improving well-being and removing health inequality of Trafford residents. Councillor Ross, please.
Well, thank you for the question. Sustainability, health and well-being are key priorities of the council, and climate change is at the forefront of council decision-making. It has recently set a target of becoming carbon neutral by 2038, and an action plan will be developed over coming months, supported by external experts, to understand and develop the plans we need to put in place with stakeholders across the borough to address this target. There are a number of measures in this budget which will provide a start to the process, including substantial investment through the Mayor's Challenge Fund in new cycling and walking schemes, and a significant investment in parks and open spaces, including new tree planting schemes. There are also proposals to reduce the carbon emissions at Altrincham Crematorium through the introduction of 2 resummation cremators, and further work will be undertaken to understand the business case and financial viability of these proposals.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Item 3 is declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest on any items on the agenda? No. Okay. Item 4 is the exec's recommendations to the council. I'm going to ask Councillor Ross to move all of these together, if that's okay, including all of the recommendations. But I do just need to advise the executive that in 4A, the revenue budget proposals themselves, we do need to add a further recommendation with regard to some flexibility, because we have not yet received the final local government finance settlement. We knew it was coming late, then we briefly thought that we would be having it, then the debate didn't happen, so we are where we are. And therefore, I'd like to add a further recommendation that reads as follows. Due to the late publication of the final local government finance settlement, Council delegate authority to the Corporate Director of Finance and Systems, in consultation with the Executive Member for Finance and Investment, to vary the level of budget support reserve needed to balance the 2021 revenue budget in the event of any change at final settlement. So anything that comes out unexpectedly from the settlement, just to ensure that we can tidy up anything that's required there. I mean, I think it's fair to say that we think we've got a fair idea of the ballpark where we're at, but clearly it's prudent in the absence of a final settlement to add that clause in case of any significant or indeed insignificant variation that we need to add in. So if you can all be mindful that that is an additional recommendation at 4A, if I could hand over to Councillor Ross to take us through the papers, please.
Thank you, Leader. And after many months of preparation and workshops, I am delighted that we are presenting these budget papers to the Council this evening. I am conscious that there'll be discussion at the Council meeting itself. So what I intend to do is move the following reports. So first of all, agenda item 1A, which is the Executive Revenue Budget Proposals for 2021 and our medium-term financial strategy from 21 to 22 to 22 to 23. A lot of twos in there. 1B, which is our response to the Scrutiny Committee's recommendations in the budget proposals. 1C is the Treasury Management Strategy, which will have gone through the Accounts and Audit Committee on the 5th of February this month. 1D is our Capital Strategy and Programme for 2020 to 2023. 1E is our Land Sales Strategy. And 1F is our Fees, Charges and Allowances for 20 to 21. As I say, there'll be a lot of debate and discussion on this later on, so I don't intend to say anything more than that, other than to thank officers and colleagues for their time in putting all these papers together.
Thank you, Councillor Ross, and very much associate myself with the thanks to all of our staff on this. It is always an arduous process. again recognise what you said about the fact that we have a debate starting in 50 minutes on this. Cognizant of that, if I can ask people to stick to questions rather than general comments. Are there any questions from members of the executive? Any questions more widely? Everybody is keeping their powder dry, and on that basis, if I could move the recommendations set out on papers 4A through 4F, mindful of the additional recommendation that I set out verbally earlier. Can those be agreed?
Aye.
Okay, item 5 is the business rates discretionary rates relief policy. Busy night. Councillor Ross, please.
Thank you, Leader. This is pretty straightforward. It's a change to the discretionary rate relief policy, amendments to increase and extend the retail rate discount, extend local newspaper officers, and reintroduce the pub discount. It's come through a government decision, and it is going to be funded via there. So, I don't need to say much more on that, but I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Any questions or comments from members of the executive? Questions or comments more widely? No? Okay. Could the recommendations within that report be agreed?
Aye.
Thank you. I'm not aware of any items of urgent business, and there's no need for the exclusion resolution. So at 6:10, setting, I think, a new record even for this meeting, we will draw to a close before we reconvene at 7 for full council. Thank you.